Round 9 of the World Rally Championship saw the cars, the drivers and the teams leave the European summer behind and journey to the southernmost country the series visits, New Zealand. Run entirely on the North Island, the Rally New Zealand is held in early August. Cloudy skies can mean heavy rain, and even if the sun shines, it's still pretty cold. A new format this year meant that the cars returned each night to the host city, Auckland, and apart from that first spectator stage, leg 1 was run to the north of the city. Championship leader Tommy Mackinnon's Mitsubishi Lancer was first into the forests. The Subaru Impreza of Colin McRae had been quickest around the spectator stage and was also fastest on stage 2 to eke out a 6-second lead, but another 22 stages remained. Mackinnon was just 4 seconds slower than McRae through the second stage, and the pair looked to be in a different league. The rest were at least 30 seconds slower. Third was Mackinnon's teammate Richard Burns, who won the non-championship event last year.
The roads are just very, very good for a driver. They're pretty undamaging for the car, so it's completely down to us. We push as hard as we can without making a mistake, hopefully. Very, very twisty, nice flowing stages.
Fast, spectacular stages as well. Ford's 1-2 in Greece and the new sequential gearbox meant that the team came to New Zealand full of confidence. But both drivers complained of down-on-power engines. Sainz was fourth after stage 2, 36 seconds behind the charging McRae. Despite McRae's lead, all was not well at Subaru. Right from the start, Kenneth Eriksson was unable to engage fourth gear. The team had tried to fix the problem at the first service area, but there wasn't enough time, so Kenneth had to make do until the next stop.
We don't know yet. We don't really have time to look at it now, so I had to live without the fourth gear on the first 2 stages, and then maybe we'll change the finger housing, and then it maybe, hopefully, can be okay after the first 2 stages this morning.
Changing the gear selector after stage 3 did the trick, but by then he'd lost a lot of time to the leaders. Fortunately, the Subarus don't have sequential gearboxes, so Kenneth was able to change directly from 3rd to 5th.
This morning was a difficult decision because we could have changed it this morning, but we would have taken about 1.5 minutes penalty, which is quite a lot starting the rally. But it was risky not to do it because it could have damaged all the other gears. It could have damaged 2nd, 4th and 6th. But it turned out to be the right decision. He came in, didn't damage 2nd and 6th. We've changed the selector mechanism now and we hope it's going to be okay now. We'll see.
After stage 3, Eriksson was lying 5th. The first leg was wet, but if the conditions bothered the drivers, some of the more ingenious spectators hardly seemed to notice. In 6th place was Juha Kankkunen, who won in New Zealand in 1986 on the way to the first of his 4 World Championships. Team leader Sainz has won the event on no fewer than 3 occasions, so Ford started the rally with the most successful driver lineup.
Probably these are the best driving roads, you know, in the world, because they are very good surface and floating and nice, fast. Some fast, some slow, but good roads.
Mackinnon set the fastest time on stage 3, pulling back just 1 second on McRae. If we go on board with Tommy on stage 4, it's obvious that he's driving right on the limit. Any slight error would be swiftly punished. The accident in 6th gear at well over 100 miles an hour destroyed the car, and so the rally ended for Mackinnon and his co-driver Seppo Harjanne there and then. Surprisingly perhaps, considering the damage to the Lancer, both the Finns were fairly philosophical about the crash.
To my knowledge, it was this sort of a wrong camber on the road made a trick on entry to this quite easy left one, and so we went unplanned too much sideways. And obviously what I saw from the marks, the sump card, hit into the mud, and that sort of turned the car over. And then we did, I don't know how many rounds, but we survived anyway.
I don't understand what is wrong with this rally. It's so nice to drive. I like these stages. It's very much like 1,000 lakes, and it's so enjoyable rally that because it's no luck. That's it.
With Mäkinen out, McRae had a commanding lead, but in rallying it's not so simple to just back off and cruise.
It sounds fairly easy, but it's not. We slowed down too much on one of the stages and tried to go a bit quicker, but not quite quick enough, so it's very difficult to get the pace right now.
In a way, would you have liked to have seen Tommy continue to make it a fairer fight?
Well, the pace was pretty hot in the two stages this morning, and it was almost a bit too quick, so it was a bit of a relief to see him out, but then again it's going to be hard work to do the next 2 or 2.5 days and keep the concentration up.
So, despite his lead, Colin maintained his pace and set the fastest time on 2 of the next 4 stages. He looked to be on course for a victory that would mean 10 World Championship points. That would put him on level terms with Mäkinen with 5 rounds of the series remaining.
55 right over bridge, 50k, wooden bridge narrow, slippy and 3 left plus opens. This is the one. Into, slow 4 right, tightens line. 30, 6 right and 6 left, into 6 left minus cut, into 4 right minus tightens, into 2 left plus, tightens. A bit late, that one. Yeah, okay. Into 6 right.
McRae has won twice so far this year, but this was his 4th retirement. Like Tommy, Colin would take no points home from the long trip south.
Cam belt tensioner just broke, just exiting that right-hander there. So at the end of the day, that's it. Our championship started here, but maybe it ends here, we don't know.
Well, it looked like it was going to be fairly plain sailing in 10 points, which at this point in the championship is very, very important to us. Just 1,000 Lakes is the next one. Tommy's probably going to win there, and then it just makes it harder towards the end of the year.
And it's an awful long way to come, isn't it, to go out on the first day?
It certainly is.
But Mäkinen and McRae weren't the event's first casualties. An excursion through a fence on the 2nd stage of the rally had left the Seat Ibiza of Finland's Harry Rovanperä a long way from the road. Australia's Wayne Bell didn't even make it that far. His new Hyundai Coupe kit car refused to even start that 2nd stage. In the World Cup for 2-litre cars, Oriol Gomez in the sole surviving Seat led at the end of the first leg, and with neither Peugeot nor Skoda making the trip, it was left to Japan's Nobuhiro Monster Tajima to lead the chase in his Suzuki Baleno estate. Group N was led by Gustavo Treyes, driving his Evolution 3 Mitsubishi Lancer for the last time. His new Evolution 4 will contest the Rally of Finland.
As the first leg drew to a close, the top 6 cars were separated by a little under 5 minutes. Australia's Neil Bates was 6th in his Toyota Celica, soon to be replaced by one of the new Corolla World Rally cars. Nearly 2 minutes ahead of Bates was the leading New Zealander, Possum Bourne. National pride meant that this battle captured the attention of the spectators as much as the one between the leaders. With Mäkinen gone, Richard Burns had the undivided attention of the Mitsubishi mechanics. It was just as well. He lost drive to one of the front wheels, and losing 2 minutes dropped him from 2nd to 4th. The part could only be changed at the day's final service area, and Richard was understandably frustrated.
It's very tricky. You have to be very careful. As soon as you put your foot on the accelerator, the car tries to spin because it only has 3 wheels driving. So, well, you have to judge a little bit differently from driving normally, obviously, and makes braking less effective, makes it very easy to spin the car.
Juha Kankinen and co-driver Juha Repo were 3rd. their escort setting the quickest time on the last stage of the day.
Easy right and crest to medium right and long medium left.
Not only did Kankkunen have the sequential gearbox, but a specially designed vertical handbrake as well, the smaller lever behind the gear stick. The gears are changed up by pulling back, down by pushing forward. Kenneth Eriksson also set the fastest time on one of the day's stages. His gearbox problems were now behind him and the Subaru was in second place. But the rally leader was Carlos Sainz. Now that the early pace setters, McRae and Mäkinen, had both retired, Sainz could finally start to prove that the result in Greece hadn't been a one-off.
When the rally started this morning, Tommy and Colin were very, very quick. And I think, to be fair to both our drivers, it's taken a little bit longer to get used to the sequential gearbox than we envisaged. But having said that, both of them now seem to be going very competitively, and it's a great shame that those two are not here to see actually how competitive we are.
You're fairly close to Carlos. Do you think you can catch him?
That's my target. I will go fight every stage. I mean, I really wanted to catch him and win this rally, but still a long way to go, and but it's still very open.
The car is fantastic. The handling of the car is very good. I'm sure it's the best. The gearbox, new gearbox, is very good, and really at the moment I'm enjoying very much driving the new gearbox. It's only, we have to keep working a little bit in the engine.
But tomorrow it must be 100% driving.
Tomorrow is 100%, and also it is quite twisty stages. We have to see, but the car is handling well, so we will see.
Just 22 seconds were all that separated Sainz and Eriksson, with Kankkunen a further 50 seconds adrift. Burns must have been cursing his transmission problems, without which he'd have been challenging Sainz. The opening of a new Auckland landmark provided a distraction at the end of leg one. The tallest structure in the Southern Hemisphere, the Sky Tower was welcomed with a spectacular fireworks celebration which lit up the night sky.
The second leg's 8 stages lay to the southeast of Auckland, and many drivers described them as seeming to be in another country. The weather had completely changed as well, gone were the clouds and heavy rain of the previous few days to be replaced by spring sunshine. Leg 2 had one other change up its sleeve. Sainz, now running first on the road, quickly discovered that the loose gravel provided about as much grip as running on ball bearings. He was now at a disadvantage, effectively sweeping a path through for the others. Stage 11, the day's first, was 30 miles long, and he lost 39 seconds and his lead.
Para izquierda, caleta, poco tarde, se cierra. Ahí va, ahí va, ahí va, ahí
va. Eriksson set the fastest time on the stage and grabbed the lead for the first time.
Till vänster 5 plus 40, höger 3 minus kort. Till vänster 2 plus kort, not inside, 20. Vänster 2 kort, not inside, break 20.
Kankkunen, running third, didn't suffer as much as his teammate, but despite the clearer road, he still lost about 20 seconds to the charging Eriksson. Richard Burns was also quicker than Sainz through the stage, one of the longest in the World Championship. Despite losing time to Eriksson, the young Englishman's proving that he can compete on equal terms with the best in the world. That one stage saw Eriksson turn a 22-second disadvantage into a 17-second lead. Kankkunen was now 54 seconds behind Sainz, with Burns a further 67 seconds adrift. The new leader wasn't taking anything for granted.
Still is very open. I'm sure Carlos will come back, and I will continue to push hard to see what comes out of it. But as I said, I'm feeling confident in the moment.
So do you think the next 2 or 3 stages could be crucial to the whole rally?
No, every stage is important, even the last stage. So I mean, I take stage by stage and try to do my best, and then we see what comes out of it.
Sainz blamed the time loss on a poor tyre choice for the first stage, yet as the day wore on, he would only share the fastest time on 2 of the remaining 7 stages. Running first was a definite disadvantage, but there was nothing he could do.
It was Kankinen's turn to set the quickest time on stage 12, which marked the halfway point of the rally. The Finn looked to be more than happy with 3rd place. But the performance of leg 2 came from Richard Burns, his Mitsubishi now running perfectly once again. He set the fastest time on 4 of the 8 stages, gaining over 30 seconds on the leading pair.
We've been pushing hard on all of them, but the last 2, it's helped being 4th on the road because the road's cleaning with the first few cars. Just pushing the small stones away a bit, so I'm just making the most of it.
Stage 13 saw Ericsson make a rare mistake. He chose a tyre compound which was too soft. A handful of seconds were lost, but the lead was safe. That's how it would stay, with Kenneth sharing fastest time with Sainz on stages 16 and 17. Behind the struggle at the head of the leaderboard, by the end of leg 2, Uruguay's Gustavo Treyes had opened up a lead of over 2 minutes in Group N. The Southern Hemisphere battle was still going strong. Neil Bates remained in 6th place. But New Zealand still held the advantage. Possum Bourne was now over 4 minutes ahead of Bates in 5th place. Burns was still 4th, but the day's performance vindicated his choice as Mitsubishi's 2nd driver on gravel events. 3rd was Kankinen. Drafted into the team for Argentina to replace Armin Schwartz, it was difficult to believe that this was still only his 3rd event for the Ford team. Sainz, meanwhile, had closed the gap on Ericsson slightly, but was still 2nd. At least he wouldn't have to run first on the road on the final leg. Ericsson's lead was now down to just 8 seconds, with Kankinen having pulled up to just 24 seconds behind Sainz. A classic battle lay ahead on the final day.
How happy are you with the way your drive has gone today?
Oh, he's done a great job. I mean, we started off with a deficit, we've come out with a lead, so it might be a little bit tight, but it's going to make it all the more exciting tomorrow.
Now we are 8 seconds. Tomorrow I think the first 2 stages is going to be very important.
Is this an advantage going 2nd on the road tomorrow?
For sure it's better going 2nd than 1st, that is for sure.
You must be flat out all the time because 8 seconds is nothing, so I just do my best, and my enemy is the road now, not Juha and Carlos.
Another gloriously sunny morning greeted the crews at the start of the 3rd and final leg. Perfect flying weather too for rally spectating New Zealand style. But wherever the World Championship goes, the majority get to the best viewing spots on foot. Ericsson was now faced with the same handicap as Sainz had. Fresh tracks covered in gravel. There were just 6 stages totalling 60 miles to go, and the question was, could the Swede handle the loose surface any better than the Spaniard had on the 2nd leg?
20. Vänster 2 minus.
The answer was no.
Halvlång 40. Vänster 15.
The Subaru was 13 seconds slower than pace setter Burns on that first stage, but had the spin cost Ericsson the lead. For the 2nd time in almost 24 hours, the opening stage of the day looked to prove decisive. Sainz, although he didn't know it yet, was perfectly placed to benefit. Could he be on the way to Ford's 2nd win in a row? The collision with one of New Zealand's 48 million sheep brought back memories of Mäkkinen's horrendous accident with a cow in Corsica. Yet Sainz, despite extensive damage, was able to struggle on. And, amazingly, he lost just 26 seconds to Ericsson.
So
You hit the sheep on a very fast section.
Yes, very fast after a crest, 180 kilometers per hour, something like.
Nothing you can do, is it? No. How bad does it look in there?
Well, it's not finished for sure, but I think they can repair.
But his mechanics were up against the clock. 20 minutes were all that were allowed before time penalties began, and they had a lot to do. The anxious looks and Sainz blowing the horn to try and speed up the work served only to increase the tension.
Great size of relief. Have you got him out on time?
Yeah, no problems. I mean, the boys have done a fantastic job here. The extent of the damage was the left-hand front shock absorber, the brakes, radiator, intercooler, sump guard, and obviously the body damage that you could see.
As Sainz set off to try and make up the time he'd lost to Ericsson, another Spaniard could celebrate. Oriol Gomez won Formula 2 for SEAT. Gustavo Treyes once again won the class for production cars. He now only needs to finish second in class in Finland to retain his Group N world title. Neil Bates and co-driver Coral Taylor finished sixth in the Toyota, scoring 1 World Championship point. But to the delight of the local spectators, Possum Bourne and Craig Vincent brought their Subaru home in 5th place. Richard Burns and Robert Reed were 4th for Mitsubishi, only too aware that the problems of day one had cost them any chance of their first World Championship rally victory.
Richard, what sort of an event has it been for you?
Well, disappointing obviously after the first day. We lost over 2 minutes, and now we're finishing 1 minute and 20 behind Kenneth, so there was a definite opportunity to be in amongst Juha, Carlos and Kenneth fighting for the lead. I mean, I tried my best, and I think over the last 2 days we've been quickest, so well, I can't do any more than that. I'm pleased we got here and we got some points.
The two Juhas, Kankkunen and Repo, finished third. 2 podium finishes in as many events and an increasing confidence within the Ford team. On this weekend's Rally Finland, Tommi Mäkinen may well not have things all his own way. But what of Sainz, a man on a mission in his repaired Escort, 34 seconds behind with just 50 miles to go. He was fastest on all 5 stages, half a second quicker than Ericsson on each mile, but there simply weren't enough miles left. And in the closest ever finish to the Rally New Zealand, Kenneth and Staffan Parmander claimed victory by just 13 seconds. Right on the limit, right to the very end.
Grön i vänster 4 minus, 130. Vänster 5 kort, break till höger 3 minus. Till grön, till vänster 4 plus. Ja, där satt han.
Jag tror inte han tog det i alla fall.
Nej, det är inte en chans. Det är lugnt.
Jag tror det är klart.
Det är klart, Kenneth.
Jag tror det är klart.
Ah, vad häftigt.
Did you think today that Carlos might just catch him?
Well, we knew Carlos was going to try his best, but for me, all had to happen. Everything had to happen in the first stage. If you want to take Carlos, he's always it's always a bit difficult for him first stage in the morning. That's when he's not at his best, and the stage was quite long as well, so it's always the best place to attack Carlos, first thing in the morning in a long stage.
Your second win of the season, how much does it mean to you to have win number 2?
Very, very much, because I've been so unlucky this year. I've been leading in some stage in Portugal, also in Greece when I retired due to technical problems, so it was very good that it's coming for me now, and I'm looking very much forward to go to Finland now. And on top of that, I'm leading Asian Pacific Championship now from the driver's side as well, so it's very good.
So it's been a very good few days for you.
Fantastic, really good.
Confirmation of the result. Ericsson the winner by 13 seconds from Sainz, with Kankkunen another 6 seconds behind, and Burns and Bourne rounding off the top 5 places. The result in New Zealand changes the position in the World Drivers' Championship. Mäkinen still leads after his 3 victories, but Sainz is now second ahead of McRae, and Ericsson is 4th, now with a slim chance of taking the title with 50 points still available from the 5 remaining rounds. In the series for manufacturers, no change in the leader. Subaru extending their advantage, but Mitsubishi and Ford are now separated by just a single point.